Good morning, property noodlers and potential lean sharks. This is Paul Romero with the Sell a House Wholesale Real Estate Training number 35. Hey, we got a milestone here too. I don't know what 35 is a milestone, but hey, it's a kind of a round number, so we hit another round number. There you go. An odd round number. But anyway, good morning all. We are sellahousearizona.com, bringing you the Property Noodlers Lean Sharks program to join our team. And these are training calls to help you get the mindset and the information and the ninja tactics and everything you need to be a successful wholesaler and not a wholesaler. Good morning, John. He's my cohort, and I'm going to let him take this while I use the restroom. Excuse me.
Oh, well, it looks like Paul just jumped up from his desk. Well, it's Monday morning. My favorite, one of my favorite days of the week. In fact, I love every day of the week. Every day is my favorite day, but Mondays has a special special spot in its heart because it's the start of a whole new week ahead of you, a whole new set of opportunities that are coming our way. Some of the legwork that I've done over the weekend will turn into some deals. So today I will be putting together some contracts and reconnecting with some sellers that I came across over the weekend that are motivated and ready to sell. And so I love Mondays. It's, as I say every Monday, if you're not loving getting up in the morning on Monday and the first thought in your head is, oh my God, it's Monday, I can't wait till Friday, well, stop and think about, instead of doing what you think you have to do, start thinking about how you can do what it is that you want to do, because life is about choices, life is about mindset, and really, we don't have to do anything. And we should be doing what we're meant to do, not what we think we have to do. Two big different things. So Paul just sat back down. So good morning, Paul. Welcome all to the Property Noodlers number 35. It is a milestone. I can't wait till Wednesday, quite honestly, to do number 36 because that's how old I am. So I've done I've done one hangout for real estate for every year that I've been alive. Been blessed to be alive on this planet. So left off Friday. We were talking mindset once again because that's a very important thing, and we talked about getting in the habits of having a money management system and why that is so important. So, take us away, Paul.
Yeah, Friday we actually we were talking about breaking down the $72,000 a year that you could possibly make if you stay 7 years in college and get a doctorate. We talked about wholesaling being one way to jumpstart yourself out of the slavery of a job or career, which as the $72,000 a year, if you didn't see that, go back and look at 35, because I don't care what career or the good job that you have studied for and gone out and gotten or whatever, the system is designed and your mindset is designed. Everything is established and put into place for you to basically be a slave your whole life, hoping for retirement at the end of the rainbow, where just ask all the baby boomers right now what's probably going to happen when they pull the rug out from underneath you as well, too. With that in mind, we started talking about wholesaling be a way to jumpstart your way into some extra cash to help you make a transition into something that can create passive income for you, which can create financial freedom for you, which can get you out of the rat race. And then with that also we talked about how that's what led us into the money management, and okay, how do we get there? Okay, well, I flipped a house and I made some money. What the heck am I supposed to do with it, right? So why don't you give us the four basic levels of what the money management system is, John? I believe there's five things that are a part of your money management system, and basically what I'm going to put just one preface out to this. The whole bottom line comes down to two things. Number one, living at or preferably below your means, which that's a mindset thing, major, that has not been programmed into us. Living at or below your means, and number two is basically just diligence and sticking to a program. So go ahead, John.
All right. To start this off, let's just say we're make it real simple because we're going to be using percentages, and I'd like to relate that to actual real numbers. You're making $10,000 a month, and I know a lot of you aren't making $10,000 a month. And there is a reason why I say let's use 10,000. First of all, it's easy to use percentages off of a nice even number like that.
And that's where everybody wants to be.
Right. But honestly, in my opinion, I've looked at numbers 100 different ways. And if you want to live any sort of a life and actually be able to implement a money management system at these percentages I'm talking about, look at your finances now, look where you want to be. $10,000 to me is a number that is minimum what every person should be striving to make on a monthly basis. And it sounds like a lot of money to people out there, especially if you're working at a convenience store or a McDonald's, something like that. And I'm not looking down, and I don't poo-poo anybody who's out there working their ass off to make a living. What I am saying is that that's all you're doing, is you're making a living. You're surviving, and if you're not making $10,000 a month, you're barely surviving. That's just the way it is. With inflation, the cost of goods and services, what it costs to own a decent home, own a decent car, put money away for the different things we're going to get into. My opinion is your minimum goal should be making $10,000 a month. Minimum. Especially if you've got children and you want to provide them with any sort of entertainment, any sort of education, any sort of opportunity. $10,000 is a minimum number that people should be making. My opinion, take it for what it's worth, but I'll let you know that 99.99% of the time, I'm right 100% of the time. So we'll get into this money management system based on $10,000 a month. All right, so you're making $10,000 a month. Now, what should you be doing with it? Well, number one, everything we're going to be talking about from here moving forward is going to be after-tax dollars. So with that 10 grand, you need to immediately take 20% of that money, and it should be the money you're making now.
And kiss it goodbye.
Kiss it goodbye. And give it to the government, because they're going to be taking it anyway. And if you're working a job, an hourly job, you don't have to wait till you're and just to preface, you don't have to wait till you're making 10 grand a month to start getting in the habit of having a way of managing your money. So if you're working a job different than Paul and I do, your job actually is giving you after-tax dollars. So let's say you're making it from real estate, $10,000. The first thing that you're going to have to do is take 20% off the top, which in this case is $2 grand, and put that aside for Uncle Sam. And now we're left with $8 grand. So out of that $8 grand, you should be taking 10% of the after-tax dollars that you make. In this case, 10% of that is $800, and that should be allocated strictly to financial freedom. Number one, top of the list, 10% of your after-tax dollars should be put into an account that is specifically for your financial freedom. And I think it's important to note what we mean by financial freedom, and being financially free means you have enough passive income coming in on a monthly basis that exceeds the amount you need to live monthly. And passive income is money that you make without having to rely on going to work or on other people for that income to come in regularly. So 10% a month goes to your passive income. That's $800. Then is anything you want to add in, Paul, or should I keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. The next 10% should be put away for your long-term savings. I like to call it a contingency fund. You know, long-term savings with the intention of spending, like having some money put aside in the event that maybe your car breaks down. Hey, there's a big family vacation you'd like to take this summer. That's what this money's for. A long-term savings with the intent on spending that money, whether it be a family vacation. Maybe you're smart and you start putting 10% away on January after Christmas So like most people, when Christmas time comes, you've got some money to buy the presents and you're not going in debt to buy your kids a couple of trinkets that, quite honestly, they're going to throw away and forget about 3 days after the damn day. I know this for a fact. But like I said, too many people go into debt every Christmas to buy useless crap that their children just
destroy.
After Christmas is disposable. But this is what this 10% is for. Putting the money aside for vacation, maybe the car breaks down, for your Christmas. Then, so the next 10% of this money, of your money, should be allocated towards playing, right? You know what? You want to be rich. You want to know what it tastes like to be rich. Get a feel for like the nice hotel room. Then to be able to go out to dinner once or twice a month and look at the left side of the menu and not buy based on the right side of the menu, and go to a steakhouse so you can be at the steakhouse, but then you end up ordering chicken or the cheapest cut of meat. This is where you have the 10% of your money each month. You can go out and you can play with it, and you don't have to feel bad. Hey, you know what? Me and the wife, we want to go on a date night, and you know what? We're going to go to the most expensive, we're making 10 grand a month, so we have $800 to go spend on a freaking date night, and you can go and you can take her to the finest steakhouse and have anything you want, and you don't have to feel bad about it. So there's 10% goes to your play. Then, so now we've spent we've got 30% of our monthly income allocated in this manner. So the next 10% you should be putting towards your education. Paul and I are big believers that we would not be anywhere near the level we are at today if it wasn't for thousands of dollars spent on study from home courses, live seminars, paid for live webinars. Plan on paying a couple $1,000s to go to Greg Reed's Secret Knock in San Diego next time it's available. I think this February. Pay for courses from T. Harv Eker. Putting money aside so that when the opportunity presents itself to jump in on a great educational opportunity, you have money set aside to go and do that. Because again, I want to point out that there's a lot of sharks in the education business. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You go to his 3-day event, and he actually will advocate you coming to the back of the room and charging it. Hey, I've been to his events, and he even teaches people how to call their credit card companies and increase their credit limit while they're at the event so they can ring up debt to buy his education. And you know what? Let's not do that, people. We're going to be different. We don't want to get deeper and deeper in debt. So we want to be being able to put money aside to take educational courses and programs when the opportunity presents itself. And again, I want to reiterate, this is why $10,000 a month is minimum, because after your taxes, we're at $8 grand. We've already taken 40% out for financial freedom, long-term savings, playing, and education. That's already $2,400 out of your $8 grand. And guess what? Now we're left with $5,600, and now we have our living expenses. $5,600, our living expenses. This is why the doctor making $6 grand a month is not getting ahead of the game, because he hasn't done any of the things we've talked about yet. And we've done these things, and now we have just about as much as a doctor. And this is where they say, out of this money that's left, 50%, somewhere between about 50% now should be where your living expenses are. And by living expenses, we're talking about your rent, your utilities. Included in utilities, I say, is your water, gas, and electric, and your cable bill. That's utilities. And then, your credit card debts, your car payment, your kids' schooling. In my case, my kids' schooling, and some child support. Shouldn't be more than 50% of that that $5,400 that's left over. And then that leaves 10%, and you should be donating 10% or whatever you can do at the end of all that each month to, if you're a churchgoer and you believe and you like your church, you should be donating to that. You should be looking for charities or something that you believe in, and put your money where your mouth is and give something back. Because in my opinion, this money isn't yours anyway. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that in a minute, where this money comes from. But it isn't your money. It's God's money. It's other people's money that's given to you and entrusted to you to do the right things with. So at the end of all that, once you've got your financial freedom, your long-term savings, your ability to go out and play, you've put money for furthering your education and your growth, now you paid all your bills, you should take 10% and put it where put it on where your heart is, put it in where your mouth is, and give that money back to something that you believe in. And that is, in a nutshell, the basics of a very popular, very trusted, I think, and very easy to follow money management system. So I'm going to throw it back to Paul to kind of throw in some of his ideas on all that.
Cool stuff. I'm only going to discuss the order of importance, maybe, of these things, and maybe not importance, but maybe, well, importance to the individual. Let me put it that way, okay? Obviously, the taxes have to go out first. Like John said, two things here: either you're employed, or you are a business owner. I mean, that's the two ways that we can earn money. Okay, I don't care if you're, I won't go there, but even if you're underground, let me put it that way, and you're making your money, you're making your own money, you're a business owner, all right? And IRS is going to find you. They're going to want their taxes eventually, all right? Google is, big brother, and the information is going to the government, and they're going to find you. Bottom line, they're going to find you. So pay your freaking taxes. So you're either an employee, and the taxes are already coming out, or you're a business owner, and you have to pull out 20% of every dollar you make and put it in the bank, or put it in your pillow, put it in a coffee can, wherever you want to put it, and save it so that you can give it to the revenuers when they come knocking on your door saying, hey, where to go? Give me some money. So anyway, and here's a very important thing. I said one thing there too. Every dollar you make, all right? John touched on this, but you don't need a lot of money to start a money management system. If you want a lot of money, you need to start a money management system. Does that make sense to you? Okay, what I'm trying to say here is, don't say, I don't have enough money to manage, because you know what? If you say I don't have enough money to manage, guess what you're always going to have? Not enough money to manage. All right? Start managing your money, and eventually you will have more money to manage. That's the way it works. All right? So now you paid your taxes. You got 80% of your money left. I say you have two options that you go after first. Either you pay yourself first, or you give first. Whichever makes you feel better. But you should do one of those things first with your money. Either pay, and whichever one you do first, you should do the other one second. So you can either pay yourself, and that doesn't mean the 50%, the $4,000 that's allocated for living and bills. That's not paying yourself. Paying yourself first is the 10% that goes towards your financial freedom. Okay, that's paying yourself first. That's the money that you get to set aside to build a better life. All right, that's important. And then, like I said, and then giving, obviously, if it makes you feel great to give, then give first. And whichever one you do first, do the other one second. Because those are the two most important parts of this money management system. All right? Then I would say your next most important thing is your play. You have to have money. You have to have time. You have to have a release. You can't be business all the time. You can't be left brain and not right brain. You have to have both sides of your ebb and flow. Everything is yin and yang, however you want to put it. If you want to be business-like and studious and whatever it takes to make success, you got to have fun on the other side to do it. So play is the next most important thing. From there, your education is probably the most important thing next, because if you're not learning and growing, none of this is going to happen for you anyway. And then the final thing is the long-term savings, and that's, like you said, like John says, a contingency plan, a bonus, whatever, a planned event or big-ticket purchase or whatever you want to do, that being the fifth thing. And then the least important thing is the 50% that you need to live off of. That's the least important part of the money management system. Okay, everybody has the twisted mindset. You know, you get a paycheck. What's the first thing you do? Got to pay all the bills. Got to do all this. Got to pay everybody. I got to pay all this out. Right? Wrong, backwards thinking. Pay yourself first. Work your way down. The last of it, hey, that's the money that's there to do all that stuff with. You know that's all there. Now I want to throw in the fact that what I said at the very, very beginning, living at or below your means. Right now, after your money management system, $4,000, that's your means, okay? And here's what most people will do. First thing, obviously, most important thing, you're going to buy a house, right? Well, what do? You run out to the loan people, right? And they're going to qualify you for a house, right? They're going to pre-qualify you. How do they pre-qualify you? Well, they take how much money do you have every month to spend? Well, you're going to walk in and say, I have 4,000. Okay, that's my monthly living expenses because the rest of it's already spoken for, right? Don't walk in there saying I got 10,000, which that's probably what people would do. I make $10,000, and they're going to be way over their head. But even if you walk in saying I got 10,000, I have $4,000 a month, that's my living expenses. What they're going to do is they're going to take $4,000 a month. They're going to divide that and figure out what 30% of that is, or 33% of that, or however much they feel like pushing your finances. You can do these calculations on your own. So they're going to figure out how much money you can afford to pay per month based on somewhere between a 30 and quite actually a 38% percentage of your income. And then they're going to take that number, they're going to put it into the calculation, they're going to add, whatever the going interest rate is for the date. I just generally right now using 5%, and then they're going to put it in times 360 months, which is a 30-year loan, and they're going to hit the button, and it's going to give them a present value, which equals the total amount of a house that you can buy. And if you take 33% of 4,000, that means you can make a $1,320 a month payment, which translates into the fact that you can buy a $245,000 house. And what are most people going to go do? They're going to run out and they're going to start looking for $260,000, $280,000 houses. That's just the way we are. That's living above your means. I'm talking about living at or below your means. This is a crucial, crucial key, because you screw up this end, and then the front end, the important part, is what suffers. Go out there and do this calculation yourself and figure out what 25% of your income is, and have that calculation run and come up with a number, which means that you can pay $1,000 a month for a mortgage payment, which means that you're keeping $320 in your pocket for necessities of living, and you can now afford a $186,000 house. Is there really a huge difference between a $186,000 house and a $245,000 house? I mean, it's not that big. You know what I mean? Let your ego, put your ego in your back pocket and look for a beautiful $186,000 house, opposed to a $140,000 or $240,000 house, or a $260,000 or $280,000 or a $300,000 house, pushing your means even beyond their limit, which at $240,000, quite honestly, is already pushed beyond your limit. And $186,000, because now you got to think that $320,000 that I'm keeping in my pocket, hey, that's taxes and insurance. So now I am back up at 33%. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about, living at or below your means. Maybe you can live in a $150,000 house and be happy. So John's got a quick thought. Go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, a lot of people use that number Paul used, at 33%, and they go and they get themselves a home payment that's 33% of their income. And Paul said you should do 25%. And I agree with Paul, and I just wanted to add in 33% should include your mortgage payment and your utilities. And I just want to say, too, that the reason we are talking about this is because it's about visualization, mindset, and creating in your head the life that you want to live, right? Don't wait for the money to come. Begin doing these things now. And if you're making half the amount that we're talking about, half of 10 grand, and think about
making a quarter of it.
A quarter of it, you should still kind of apply some sort of system to managing that amount of money, and you should never actually live beyond 35% of your income. Your monthly living expenses shouldn't be that. So if you can only afford, let's say, a $400 studio apartment and you're miserable there, live in the studio apartment, be miserable, and let that be your defining moment. Let that be the reason why you go out and do something to get bigger dollar amounts. I just wanted to kind of throw that in, but go ahead and continue, Paul.
Yeah, I was just going to finish up with saying that, like I said in the beginning, you don't need a lot of money to start managing money. What you need is to start managing money if you want a lot of money. Because if you wait until you have a lot of money to start managing it, you're never going to have a lot of money to manage. Like I said, that's how it works earlier. And what John just said too, the fact that so you can't, if you're making $2,500 a month, maybe you can't afford, because living expenses are expensive these days. Just living expenses might take up, out of your $2,500 a month, living expenses might take up 80% of that. Okay, figure out what that is. Work this system backwards and say, okay, I make $2,500 a month. My current situation, where I'm at right now, what's the bottom line? What can I cut out? Where can I trim the fat? How can I get this down? And figure out exactly, okay, we can live off of, $2,200 a month, and we have $200 left over. Okay, whatever percentage that is, I don't know, but figure out, okay, now with this $200, I can allocate X amount to these 5 locations, and I need to figure out how to start making more than $2,500 a month. That's the way it works. And then, so you're putting this, and it may not seem like much, I mean, if you're taking $200, you're putting it in 5 different places. What is that? $40 in each pot. $40 of financial freedom isn't going to get you real far in this world today. But before you know it, over time, $40, $40 is, what, $5,000 in a year or something like that? I don't know. Let me do the math on that real quick. 40 times 12 equals $480. That's what I meant. 5,000, 500. $480. So you got $500 at the end of a year. Now $500 you can do something with. I mean, as simple as maybe somebody needs to borrow $500. Okay, make them a loan for $500 and start collecting 12% interest on that loan, and there you go. Hey, now your $500 is working for you, and it's growing. It's building your future financial freedom. So that's the whole idea. And like you said, $40 a month. How am I going to experience a night out with the wife or whatever? Feeling rich on $40. Well, figure it out. What are you doing now that you can't do for $40? And do it. Maybe you just go out and blow the whole thing on a $40 bottle of champagne. You sit on the porch and you sip a $40 bottle of champagne like Robin Leach, and you feel rich. Whatever it takes.
Hey, I like cigars. You know what? You could take $40 and buy 2 fucking $20 cigars and enjoy those.
Yeah,
enjoy something you wouldn't normally spend that $40 on.
Exactly. $40 for your education. What can you do? Hey, $40, you could probably go out and buy 3, books on sales and marketing and personal development and mindset and that sort of thing. Buy 3 books for $40. Read those the next month, and there you go. There's your education. You don't have to go, take classes or go to seminars or something very expensive. Start with books. So I'm just saying, whatever you can put towards this system, every dollar that you make, basically you should be living off of 50 cents. That's the bottom line. Now, like I said, if you need 90 cents to live off of out of that dollar, then put 2% each away over there and start somewhere. Start managing your money with something into these 5 different locations that you can develop something in your life. And John, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Paul said, if you're only able to do 2-3%, what we're trying to teach here is a basic guideline. I understand you probably can't do this system with the percentages we're talking about unless you're making $10,000 a month, which is why I say I think people need to make a minimum of $10,000 a month, and it's not hard to do if you're doing the right thing. I mean, obviously, if you're working at a convenience store, this and that, it's never going to happen for you. So there's two solutions. You know, to get your money management system, look where you're at now and begin to look at the things that you're spending money on every month that just aren't necessary. Start right now and trim the fat. And number two, start now thinking of, all right, what can I do to make this money? Don't worry about how am I going to make this money, but what's some things I can start doing to make this money? And like Paul said, start spending $40 if it's only
Property
$40 a month.
noodlers, how about that? You can do property noodling. That's how you can make that money.
Well, definitely. But if you got $40 a month, start buying some books. Get your mind active. And you know what, Paul? I kept thinking of one word through everything you're saying: creativity. Start developing the part of your mind to be creative, so you can, with the little dollar amounts you have, you create all right, what can I do to make the most out of this? Creativity. It's a key thing. I mentioned basically throughout when I was talking about the money management system, and I think this is kind of where we're going to go with this hangout, and what people need to realize is like, all right, great. So now I'm making $10,000 a month as an entrepreneur, as a property noodler, as a business owner. And so where does this money come from? Where does money come from in general? Like, it comes from other people. Always comes from other people. And how do you get the money from the pockets and the wallets and from the hands of other people and get to put that money in your wallet and in your bank account and in your hand? And that is by providing value. So in order to get money, especially large amounts of money, you have to provide a large amount of value in exchange for that money. So that's important to realize, is that money comes from other people. And the way I get that out of their hands and into mine is by providing value. And quite frankly, the property noodlers, sellahousearizona.com, we provide value not only to our seller clients, but also to our buyer clients as well. And in exchange for the value that we provide, we get handsome profits off of each deal.
Awesome. Yeah. Let me just throw in that, yeah, money doesn't come from the banks. It doesn't come from the government. It comes from other people. It transfers among other people. The government might be the ones who print it out, but that's not where you're going to get it from. You're going to get it from, other people transferring money to and through you. Money doesn't stay anywhere either. Money needs to be moving. It needs to be transferring. You just need to be a hub where it, kind of comes and parks and takes off again. Takes a little break, and on its way it goes. So you just need to, like John said, be creative. Creativity is a key to your future for sure, and think of ways that you can start to build. Get more money to come park itself here for a little bit before you send it off to the next person. And with the money coming from other people, like you said, delivering value. So how can you? This is where the creativity comes in. What can I do that people want, people need? Because that's delivering value, is solving a problem, curing a want or a need or a desire of other people. And so that's what you have to look at. That's where your creativity comes in. Okay, what do people want? What do people need? What do people desire? And how can I get it to them? How can I position myself to get them more of what they want, need, or desire? And that's where your creative thinking comes in. And then, like John was just now leading into, okay, great. Now I have a product, a service, or whatever. I have a need. I have a way to fill it. Now, how do I get all of this out into the world so a whole bunch of people know what I have that will solve their problem? That's the next key, and that's where John's going to take over.
Oh, yeah. Well,
because what is that key, John?
So since we're property noodlers, we're obviously going to be relating this next piece of the puzzle to noodling for property, for finding motivated sellers and finding real estate deals. So how do we find these other people? How do we have a message. at Sell House Arizona. We are where solutions are created, and we are out there trying to help people that have a real estate issue that they need solved. So that's our message. It's a clear, distinct message. And now that message has to be transmitted, it has to be broadcasted and reach people so they know where to find us to solve their real estate issue. So we should always be thinking of yourself as a radio station, transmitting frequencies, transmitting the broadcast. Sell House Arizona, transmitting its message like a radio station. And that's marketing. So you've got to have a marketing system in place is key to finding these motivated sellers. So first of all, we need to figure out, well, what creates a motivated seller? So Paul and I, over the last several years, and with one of our silent business partners, have identified some key areas that or space or niche in the market where these sellers exist. I just want to say that we're not going to tell you what those areas of the market are. It's proprietary. It's something that we came across and we are doing that is very little competition right now. We are on to quite frankly, $1 billion idea, and you want to know what that idea is, you need to come on board. You need to become a property noodler.
Exactly.
We have identified several niches within the market that other investors and other wholesalers aren't going into. So
just say one quick thing, John, to bring it up to what you're talking about here. Everything that we talked about prior to this right here, the whole part about marketing, finding the buyers and sellers, everything we talked about up to there, that's all the thinking part. Okay, that's all the 80% of success is showing up. That's all the, in your mind, putting things together, et cetera, and so on. The marketing, this is where the action is. This is the how. This is the one little piece that everybody always worries about. But this is the action piece, is the marketing.
Yes, and as the action piece, it's the most important thing. Even if you could place it in order of importance, number one is marketing, reaching these people so they know who we are and know what our message is, and then number two, in succession to that, is sales, closing these people. But that's going to be a topic for another hangout. So marketing. So as I said, step one is that you have to have a clear, distinct message that you are going to be getting out there to people. You've got to identify the niche or the people that you want to reach with that message. That's important. That's another piece. And I'd say timing. Now, timing is everything. Do you have something people want? Are they in a situation where they're going to want to sell? Well, we've established that in steps 1 and 2. Discovering the people that are going to have a need or a want for our service. And number 2 is broadcasting the message. Number 3 is timing. Are we reaching these people now? Are they ready at this particular moment for the service? Sometimes, yes, and we love that. A lot of times, yes. A lot of times, not quite yet. Which leads to where the fortune really is and what most people screw up. I'd say 95% of the wholesalers, I almost said wholesalers, screw up is in the follow-up system to all this. Because, like I said, timing is everything. Now, you're not going to get everybody on the first time. They might not be just quite ready. So you have to have a system to keep yourself, keep your message, keep your distinct and clear message at the top, at the forefront of their minds. So when the time is right, they are ready to call you. So you need to have a system to keep yourself on the top of people's minds, and it's a follow-up system. I should reiterate here now, once you have, you're contacted these leads and you want to be able to have the ability to contact thousands. If you want to be financially free and have money, you need to have a system for contacting thousands and thousands and thousands and more people you can contact. the more and more opportunities there are to make money with these people and following up with them. And it all takes an automated marketing system, a drip system. If it's, in a lot of cases, it could be a direct mail marketing campaign where you don't just send one letter. After the initial contact, maybe you send them a letter every couple weeks, once a month, to just remind them, a nice letter. It's a form letter. It's an automated system for getting these letters out, but you have a drip system now, an automated system to keep yourself on the top of these people's minds. It could be direct mail. It could be a text message. There's great tools on the internet for getting out mass text messages, an email campaign, a system for follow-up phone calls. This is creativity, people. There's a lot more than just these 4 areas I mentioned that you can do to reach these people consistently and regularly. I'm just giving you the basics. Your creativity, your imagination. It's chapter 3 of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich book. Behind desire and faith is imagination is a key, and using your creative powers. So automated marketing drip system to keep in touch with these people. And, through this whole process, you're creating your database to keep in touch with. And this works on the sell side, or rather finding the sellers. And this same key elements work on the buy side. Said that kind of weird. When I talk about your buyers, you've got your sellers and your buyers, and you need to attract both to your business, and you got to use a marketing system very similar to what I talked about here to get your message to both your buyers and your sellers. So I'm going to toss it back to Paul to kind of add in and expand on the things that I've just gone through.
How long have we been running here? I haven't been following the time.
We started at 9:30, so we've got about 3 to 5 minutes left.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, that pretty much lays it out. A marketing system and funnel is all it's all about. I just want to kind of throw a little twist in there. When you started out, you said that everything is marketing is number one. I don't know. Marketing and sales, kind of like the chicken and the egg. Which one came first? Which one comes first? Which one's more important? You know what I mean? I mean, you can market your tail off, but if you ain't making any sales, you're spending a lot of money and you ain't making anything. So
yeah, you got to be good on the back end of the marketing. You got to be able to close them. So yeah.
Yeah, marketing and sales, like I said, chicken and egg go hand in hand. Which one's more important than the other? We could debate that all day long because if you don't market, I mean, obviously if you're not making sales, you're not making any money, you're not going anywhere, you're not being successful. But then again, too, you're not going to be making any sales if you're not marketing, if people don't know what you have, who you are, where you are, how to find you, how to get a hold of you, what you offer them, how you can benefit their life, how you can add value to their life, all of these things. If they don't know any of that, well, then they ain't going to pick up the phone and call you, and you're not going to be able to sell them and close them and make a sale. So, like I said, chicken and egg go hand in hand. But as far as the whole program goes, what John's talking about here, it's in depth. It's a lot of pieces. All I can say to what John just said is the failure to follow up, especially when it comes to, well, in any business, but because most people in their marketing efforts, they might think they're putting together something, they might think they're going after, they might think that they have a follow-up system, they might think that but they don't. And really what they have is something that is the one-time shot. And the one-time shot, you send out a whole bunch of marketing and you get about that much response, and then you don't follow up with the same leads. And then you send out a whole bunch of marketing to a whole bunch of new leads, and you get about that much response. And if you do your follow-up system right, the next thing you know, the leads that you sent out the first time and you got that much response, well, you follow up with them and you get that much more response, which equals now that much response. And then, the next month later you get, again, that much more response, and now you have that much response. So you see, out of the same things with a follow-up system, you get more over time and whereas most people focus upon the one-time deal. Bam! I sent it all out. I got 40 calls. I didn't get a deal. This crap sucks. I'm out of here. You know, and that's so. So follow up is the fastest road. Seriously, this is failure to follow up. I mean, failure to follow up is the fastest road that will lead you from wholesaler to wholesaler. It is the shortest distance from wholesaler to wholesaler is the failure to follow up. That's all I got, John. You can finish this out and close this thing up.
Yeah, I think we said it all. We'll get more into this marketing a little bit. I think we should get a little bit more into it on Wednesday because this is extremely important. So is sales. So we're going to talk more about that. I also think what I'm going to preface this, Paul, and stop me if you disagree. I know we've talked about it on other Hangouts, but I think reiterating a time management system is something we should talk about this week because it's not only important to manage your money, but it's important to manage your time effectively because those are the two most precious commodities that we have right now. Doesn't matter how much money you're making. If you're making any amount of money, it's important to manage it properly. And time is something that once we spend it, we can never get it back. We need to be managing our time properly. We need to be managing our time effectively. And we'll get more into the marketing and sales this week. And with that being said, it's Monday. We've got a whole 7 days ahead of us till next week, Monday. And it's time to just keep going out there, taking actions, noodling for properties, looking for the next opportunity. Keep open-minded, keep positive, make it a great week. We'll see you back here Wednesday. We'll be on time this Wednesday at 8:30 sharp, so be there, be square. And I'm going to close out with the Napoleon Hill prayer as we do each morning. We do these Hangouts, and that is, "O divine providence, universe, God, infinite intelligence, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, which is the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever ends I may desire." So go out there, take some action, make it a great week. Look forward